Alright, this is a little quick video about how to fix a zip snip if the blade has fallen behind the anvil as pictured here. It's a common problem. What has happened is that the anvil has come loose and the blade has been able to then work its way behind it. There are 9 screws on the zip snip that you have to remove in the body, but first you have to do a couple of things first. First thing, you have to split or remove the label that's on the bottom. That can come off just from wear, but if the label is still there, please remove that first, and then remove the screw that holds the blade on. Because the blade is locked into place by the anvil, you probably can't get it out of the zip snip, but don't worry about that. It'll come out when we remove the blade guard. So just unscrew and remove the screw that holds the blade in place, and then take all the 9 screws out and then separate the safety handle very easily separated, and one half will just come away from the body really easily. The other half can just remain in place while you do the repair. Then split the body, taking extra care around where the front of the zip snip is, where the business end of the zip snip is. That shaft tends to bind up on the body as you remove it. So just carefully wiggle it back and forth and it will come loose. Then the inside of the zip snip will be exposed, and you can see the motor and the transmission. That transmission body is not affixed onto the motor in any way. It will separate really easily when you try to pull it out. So be very careful and don't pull it out. You'll need to secure that before you do pull it out. First, remove the actuator button very carefully, and then tape the body halves of the transmission together before you remove it, and this way it won't separate. It's possible to get the transmission back together, but it's super hard because there's 3 floating gears that are in there, and it's better just to not let it separate while you do the repair. On the body then, or inside the body, you'll see 2 screws that hold on the guard for the blade. The one that I'm pointing out in this picture has been sheared off, and so I can't actually remove it because the shaft has been broken on the blade guard. So just do the best you can at removing those 2 screws, and then the blade guard will come off and release the blade quickly. The anvil is secured is pictured here by 2 plastic pins that are easily sheared off just from use. You can see the central screw that holds the anvil in place and 2 pins on either side of it. This is the single point of failure for this particular tool. So what we'll want to do is we're going to remove that screw, and we're going to check out what the condition of those pins are. And as you can see, as I remove the anvil, one of the pins, the smaller of the 2, has in fact sheared off, and it actually comes away with the anvil. Depicted in this picture, you can see the plastic pin just floating in the hole of the anvil. So the idea is to replace that pin with a screw. In the meanwhile, what I have done is I have attached the little tiny pieces to that screw shaft that was on the blade guard, put some glue on it, and then use tape to act as a clamp to hold it in place, so that when I reset it into the machine, it'll be intact. Then I drilled out the hole where the shaft was, and when I reassembled it, I put a screw that was just left over from some project or other into that same hole. There is a lot of room in the body of the zip snip inside for a screw, of 1/4 of an inch or so. Just find the right size. The only trick is that the screw head can't be any larger than the space there on the anvil. It can't extend past the edge of the anvil. So you just want to pick a screw that has a screw head of the right size. Once in place, you can then reset the blade guard, screw it into place, and then you'll want to replace the motor, and don't forget to remove the tape. Then you replace the actuator button. The spring on the actuator button can get in the way as you put it in, so put it first and then align the two pins with the guide holes that it rides in. So put the spring in first. Then the blade goes on, and you simply screw the blade in place. Then replace all 9 screws to seal the body up, and you're good to go. The ZipSnip repair is complete.